Hello, David McKnight here, and I'm continuing my part two of three series on Is Age an Issue, and specifically what we can do about it. Yesterday's presentation got a little bit long-winded, so my goal today is to keep this a lot shorter. I did invest a little time yesterday in helping you to try to understand why things are broken, in hopes that it maybe give you a little bit of confidence that there are things we can actually do in order to reduce the concerns that age may have in our search. A lot of it is mindset, but today there's also some things I'll share that I think can specific things you can do in order to change your situation and reduce the age discrimination concerns that you may be feeling. Really, the heart of it really comes down to having a new career strategy. And I'm not just talking a new search strategy, but really an overall career strategy that you can own. The reality is that if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same kind of results for many of you. And it's really about coming up with a different plan or a different strategy. And I think a lot of us that have been in the business world for a while can leverage our past experiences to help us to develop that plan to get help where we need to. And I think there's the huge advantage really is that there aren't a lot of people that are going about and developing a plan. So that's a huge opportunity for you in separating yourself from the competition. Just by being in this community tells me that you're seeking something different. So congrats on that. Hopefully we can build on that. So the big thing today that I want to talk about is really this idea of building a new career strategy as the solution to help you both find a job you love in a role that you love, but also to continue that throughout the rest of your career. A big idea here really is sort of changing a belief you may have, and that a lot of us have spent 20 years head down getting stuff done, solving problems for our employer. But yeah, I think it's now time to sort of unthink that a little bit and pretend like you're not just an employee, and to think of yourself a little bit more like a business or even a consultant. And what is it that you are bringing to the table? So many of us have had a chance to help the employer deal with mission, vision, strategy, and flushing those out. So let's apply that to yourself. And what is your own personal mission, vision, and strategy moving forward? Because the goal here really is to compete differently and become, if not be, very relevant in today's marketplace. It's to build a way that your skill set, your expertise allows you to show the marketplace that your skill sets are in less supply, and therefore your services are in more demand. So how can we do that? How can we separate ourselves from the competition? And really, as you probably have heard, the competition is pretty high. So we need to find a way to differentiate ourselves. So there's four things. So there's probably a lot more than four things, but I'm going to focus today on four things that you could be doing. One is really just to have a smart career strategy, and what I mean that is by a long-term plan to get you through the rest of your career. Don't rely on the employer to be able to give you a job because there's just a lot of things that are preventing that from happening. The employer that lasts for the next 30 or 40 years may not be there for you. And so it's really time to take charge of your own career. And that really requires having a plan and something that's really focused and built with intent. Yet you're also really building it so that it can be agile to meet the changing needs of the marketplace. On that strategy, really, there's this is one, and there's two other areas here that I think you should really build your plan around. And the first one is really finding your personal brand. What is it that defines you? And that branding should convey and spread into your resume as well as your LinkedIn profile. That messaging that you come up with, what separates yourself from the pack, needs to be conveyed through your marketing tool, which is your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So how do you do that? How do you build your personal brand? Well, here's a good exercise to sit down and maybe help you to strategize around that. Start making a list, and this list should be fairly long, actually, of all the pains that you have helped solve for your employers in the past. Go back to the very beginning and just make a list of the things that you think were the pains that you were helping your employers deal with. And then on the other side of the page, then list the solutions that you use to solve those pains. What specific things did you do? What specific accomplishments did you achieve in order to help your company, the companies you are working with, meet those challenges? That should help you to really maybe start to begin to focus on really what thinking of yourself as a specialist. Probably the biggest thing I'm saying today really is that this thought process right here is be a specialist. Even though we have 20, 25 years, 30 years of experience, have done a lot of things, now is not the time to sort of go at the market with a widespread approach. It's really now the time is to create some focus and dial it in. So you need to specifically identify what is that thing, what is those 2 or 3 things that separate yourself from the rest of the competition that you've done well. So go back to that personal branding, the pains you solved, and really what resonates with you and what are you going to bring forward. And then make sure that that specialty is then conveyed in the resume and the cover letter that you're handing over to an employer for that specific role. So go through that job description that you're applying for. Make sure that your resume and that job descriptions are completely aligned, and it's clear that you're a specialist and you're coming in to help solve specific problems for that employer. It also requires a strong mindset going into interviews. Hopefully you're getting some. If you're not, then the resume and your personal branding should help you get there. But once you get to that interview, that's where things really, the rubber hits the pavement. And I think it's really important that in those interviews that you stay focused. We talked a little bit about that in the reverse interview post earlier. Try to avoid going rambling on about all your years of experience and keep it focused upon what you're there for, the job specifically that you're there to do, or to convince the employer that you're there to do. Really keep a very open and growth mindset, be very relevant and confident in that interview, and that should help to draw people to you. And it comes down to really being able to show some energy and a really engaging attitude in that interview process. So if you're not there, then practice. Get some people to help you do some mock interviews. Get that confidence so you can go walk in there and deliver. All right, so tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about that right mindset and how to get it. I think that's really important for anybody in a senior capacity or executives to really be able to walk in extremely confident. And there's some things you can do in order to help you get there. In the meantime, please share any questions, suggestions to this post, and I look forward to talking to you more.